Probably 40, maybe 50 trips a day on the ferry. But when the fire started, it rose to 150, and it was beyond capacity. And it was, for the most part, it was going one way. It was people coming from McClure, from Barrier, and from Vinsula, and just north of Heffley Creek. Wanted to get away from the fire, so the lineup was from the highway, out on the highway, all the way down Ferry Road to the ferry. And then within a few days, within a day or two, the loads on the vehicles started to change. It was like, and I think I referred to it in the Firestorm book as like Bosnia. People were leaving the country, and they had all their earthly possessions stacked on top of vehicles, on the back of trucks, on trailers, sticking out the windows. And it was a very, very somber sight.
How many days did you evacuate people, and then it was all shut down that you had to leave yourselves?
I think it was about 3 days. About 3 days that they were allowing people to come through, people that are trapped north from Barrier and south from Heffley Creek. So it was about 3 days of citizens going through. And then that changed to people that were fighting the fire. The military, there were 2,000 troops. In fact, they said it was the second largest deployment of troops in Canadian history, recent Canadian history, second only to Afghanistan. The ferry has been fraught with controversy for the last, probably from the 60s on, because it's, a lot of people see it as an antiquated little craft. And, but what a lot of people don't realize is that if you would say have a spill from the railway at Heffley Creek, or if you had a terrible car accident or vehicle accident at Barrier, there's no way to get across this river. And so the ferry really proved its worth during this fire. Had the wind changed, we probably would have lost this house, because it was leaping the river. I think it left the river 4 or 5 points. And we could see, when it was going up the river, we could see the tops of trees flying through the air. Like these trees were, the tops were maybe 25, 30, or 6 or 8 meters long. And the tops would snap off, and this ember would go just like a rocket and hit the bank on the other side of the river, and then whoosh, away it would go. But in fact, it was something Mother Nature very seldom shows us. You know. So I have kind of mixed feelings about it. I mean, I know it's a disaster to all the people who lost their homes and their belongings, and especially the mill, and losing those jobs. I mean, that must be, all those issues are greater than the pleasure of seeing this light show. But it was something pretty unbelievable. But I think we learned a huge lesson, and I think it helped us all in coming together as a community. Volunteerism in this valley is an amazing thing. I said that when I retired, what I wanted to do was to volunteer, and now I volunteer on the wildlife or the Wildfire Monument Society, and I started with the community forest. As a result of the fire, we got a piece of ground and started to make our own forest for the community, with the proceeds of the forest coming into the community. And I'm also on the North Thompson Community Foundation. And all those organizations are about community. They're all about us surviving. 170 mill jobs, and then 150 jobs that are affected by the mill. So there you go, 320 jobs, all high-paying, $50,000 to $80,000 a year. So it was very hard for the first 5 years. I had lots of close acquaintances who had to go to Merritt and Heffley Creek and Kootenays and up north, and invariably it was the worker, either a man or a woman, and mainly men in the mill business, that would go to another town, try to be a millwright there or a loader operator there, and the family would be back in the schools with their children, and he'd come home every second weekend. It was very hard on family. So negatively, and of course the loss of jobs. Positively, we know what we went through, and I don't think there's anything now that could happen. Touch wood.
Yeah.
There could be a flood yet, and
Yeah.
you look at what's happening right now, but it would take something pretty hard to match that. Well, they all talk about protecting your communities on the periphery and being proactive. I think that interface idea of communities protecting themselves as best they can around them is a high priority. If you don't cross here, you have to go 50K south or 30K north to get to the other side of the highway. 65,000 crossings.
Oh, okay.
That's what I had, 65,000 crossings.
Wow.
A big day when I started was about 10 trips a day,
Yeah.
and when I finished weekends was always around 100.
Oh, okay.
Now they go as high as 140.